Welcome to an encore episode of Laugh Through It All. I'm your host, Tracy. Join me as I talk to Dee, a childhood friend, about life, past relationships, kids, and finding love, proving third time is a charm. Today, Dee and I have been friends since, middle school?
Sixth grade? Sixth
Yeah,
grade?
that's a long ass time
Yeah,
since
you
we're
had some long
51.
ass hair then too.
Yes, big hair. You know what? I don't know if my hair is any different.
It was beautiful then and beautiful
It
now.
probably was a little bit bigger, but I think it's still pretty much the same.
Six.
So I asked you to be on my podcast because we have very similar backgrounds as far as the love department goes.
Mhm.
Um, Actually, a lot of people probably don't know that I have been married two times. A-
Two.
yes.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I
oh
got
my
you
God, how many
beat.
times have you been married, Dee?
Three. Yeah, well, there you go. Lots of judgment, I'm sure, happening right now.
A judge. First of all, the people that didn't know that I was married twice, they're all right now with their jaws open, like what? I never knew you were married twice.
Right?
And as you and I have talked about before, I was 21 when I met him, 22 when I guess 21, 22 when we started dating, and 24 when we got married. So that seems like a lifetime ago, that
I
sometimes it
don't
doesn't
even
even seem
remember
like
it.
my life.
Right?
Yes.
Sometimes I'm like, wait, what? I was married twice?
Yes.
One, I try to forget the
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, it seems like forever ago. You were asking me about like dates and how old I was. I don't even remember. Is that
No.
terrible? I feel like that's pretty bad.
Well, I don't know, because I do feel bad just as far as my first marriage goes. There's so much I don't remember. I feel like I remember snippets of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember, the things that I remember now seems to be the things that I've always remembered,
Yeah.
and of course, I remember some of the bad parts,
Hmm.
um, but I remember some of the good parts, but they're all snippets. It's not
Yeah.
really stories I can tell. It's just little pieces here and there.
Yeah.
And it does kind of make me sad. And then I look at wedding pictures, and it's like looking at a stranger. Like, I don't remember any of that wedding. It's terrible. That's terrible to say that I don't remember it. But there again, we're getting to the geriatric years, so maybe I can just I can just put it off that I'm
Blame
just
it
getting
on
old and
menopause.
my memory is going bad. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
So
how
funny.
old were you when you first got married?
I first got married. I think I was 25 and then
Okay.
had kids at 27. So right away we
Yes.
had kids. So yeah, it was a long time ago. Long time ago.
It was. I
Yeah.
now with mine, I did not have kids with the first marriage.
Right.
So, like I said, we got together at 21 and then married and divorced. I believe I was 26-ish,
Yeah.
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Um, and then I had two 2-year relationships
Mhm.
between him and then my ex-husband. There was so the two-year relationships. Um, but so I feel like all of my memories are of my just last marriage.
Yeah. Well, how long you were married? Much longer. Like
No,
mine was for your second marriage. How long were
yeah,
you?
no, first marriage we were together 6, married for 4. My
Yeah.
second marriage we were together uh 8,
Okay.
8 years.
Okay.
So not,
Yeah.
not
Both of mine were
two.
short too. And
Actually, a
I don't
lot of people probably don't know that I have been married two times. Um,
two.
yes.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I
oh
got
my
you
God, how many
beat.
times have you been married, Dee?
Three. Yeah. Well, there you go. Lots of judgment, I'm sure, happening right now.
A judge. First of all, the people that didn't know that I was married twice, they're all right now with their jaws open, like what? I never knew you were married twice.
Right.
And as you and I have talked about before, I was 21 when I met him, when we started dating, and 24 when we got married. So that seems like a lifetime ago, that
I
sometimes it
don't
doesn't
even
even seem
remember
like
it.
my life.
Right?
Yes.
Sometimes I'm like, wait, What? I was married twice.
Yes.
One I try to forget. The
Yeah.
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, it seems like forever ago. You were asking me about like dates and how old I was. I don't even remember. Is that
No.
terrible? I feel like that's pretty bad.
Well, I don't know because I do feel bad just for, as far as my first marriage goes. There's so much I don't remember. I feel like I remember snippets of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember, the things that I remember now seems to be the things that I've always remembered,
Yeah.
and of course, I remember some of the bad parts.
Hmm.
Um, but I remember some of the good parts, but they're all snippets. It's not
Yeah.
really stories I can tell. It's just little pieces here and there.
Yeah.
And it does kind of make me sad. And then I look at wedding pictures and it's like looking at a stranger. Like I don't remember any of that wedding. It's terrible. That's terrible to say that I don't remember it. But there again, I mean, we're getting to the geriatric years, so maybe I can just I can just put it off that I'm
Blame
just
it
getting
on
old and
menopause.
my memory is going bad. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
So
how
funny.
old were you when you first got married?
I first got married, I think I was 25, and then
Okay.
had kids at 27. So right away we
Yes.
had kids. So yeah, it was a long time ago.
It was. I
Yeah.
now with mine, I did not have kids with the first marriage.
Right.
So, like I said, we got together at 21 and then married and divorced. I believe I was 26-ish,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. And then I had two like 2-year relationships
Mhm.
between him and then my ex-husband. There was so the 2-year relationships. So I feel like all of my memories are of my last marriage.
Yeah. Well, how long you were married? Much longer. For oh, like for your second marriage, how long were
Yeah,
you?
no, I mean, first marriage we were together 6, married for 4. My
Yeah.
second marriage we were together 8.
Okay.
So not
Yeah. Both of mine were
too.
short too. And I've been single longer than I've been married. Like the
Yeah.
first one was short. And then, I had my daughter at like 27. And then
Hmm.
my son, they're 18 months apart. So I guess I was like
Yes.
29. We were divorced shortly after. My son was like 18 months or so when we started to like look at divorce. I was in New Jersey at the time, no family, single mom, 2 kids. It was a lot. And I think that's probably why, and not to take away the love that I had for my second husband, because, of course I loved him. There was definitely some red flags. I remember clearly saying to my friend, like, God, I feel like if I gained weight or God forbid I got really sick and like whatever,
Right.
like, I don't know if he'd stay with me. Like,
Really? Yeah.
I felt like there was like a really high expectation for me to live up to, and didn't know if, 25 years down the road would I
Right.
see that. Needless to say, he was the person who I thought he was shortly after, and we were married, went bad, and then I was single for a long time, very long time. Well, I mean, I dated. We can get into that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's me. I mean now, like you said, you were single longer than you were married, so that's me actually right now. I mean I've been single 8 years, one, and I like to call it situationship, definitely not relationship in between these 8 years, and that's it. Your first marriage, what do you think motivated you to get married the first time?
That therapy session, right?
Yeah,
So
I mean, do you think like everybody else, you like, oh, you when you were young, you saw yourself getting married and having kids and
if that would be like what I guess after all of the years that I was like, well, I'll go back and forth with that
right,
to answer that question. So after my second marriage, I did date somebody for quite a few years,
right.
on off, and he was a wonderful person. We can talk about that later. But there was a time before I married my third husband that I was single for, I would say, 2 years, and didn't date or anything. And I did a lot of self reflecting, which is why,
Hmm.
I'm hoping things work. But I go back to my first marriage, probably one, I mean, granted, I loved him at 25, but,
Yeah.
I was also so happy that he loved me.
Hmm.
So I really feel like I have struggled with a lot of insecurities for like such
Same.
a long time.
Yeah.
Abandonment issues with my childhood and growing up and not feeling worthy. And that led to a bunch of issues in relationships and hookups and things like that, that,
Yeah.
certainly look back and I wish I could have changed. But
Absolutely.
my first husband had his own place. He's a little bit older than me. I fell in love with the idea of being in love and
Absolutely.
being
Yes.
independent and out of my house and all of those things. So it was a lot more than
Than just the
you know,
idea of being in love and getting married
yeah.
and having kids, like the much sense.
And I think if we wouldn't have had kids so quickly, like we
Right.
would have like either have worked out the issues that we had, we would have had more time to spend on us. Does
Sure.
that make sense? Because once when you have kids in the mix, it's a whole nother level of, obviously happiness, the best thing that ever happened to me, but it does add a level of stress to a
Absolutely.
relationship. He's a wonderful man, an amazing father. He's still in my life today.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that it worked out the way it did.
Is he remarried?
No, he has a longtime girlfriend. She's
Okay.
absolutely amazing. Her and I have hung out and watched movies together. Like she's great. Like
Yeah.
kind of like
Good.
you're in your relationship.
Yes.
But she's amazing.
Yeah.
Such an inspirational woman. She's a doctor, radiologist, breast cancer department.
Wow.
Fantastic. Yeah. Super cool. I have a lot of respect for her.
So then the difference here is I've been married twice and you did find love the third time.
Mhm.
So what different expectations or how did you approach it did you approach it differently than you have your other relationships?
I Yeah, I don't know if I approached it differently, but I think I was a different person.
Yeah.
So I think, like I said, that during that time when I was single and did not date anybody at all, I think I learned a lot about myself and kind
Sure.
of what I was looking for. And I think mostly realizing that, I was like worthy of a healthy, good relationship
Yes.
and didn't want to settle. My husband and I now, like we had known each other for a long time. It was kind of a quick like courtship, I guess people would say. But we had went on like one date a long time ago. I don't even know how many years ago, 9 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, you're a really great guy, but just a little too intense for me.
Yeah.
So, um, and I should also say, like, he has adult children. He's
Okay.
was divorced for quite a few years. So he was also, because my second husband had no kids and was never married. I feel like that was a big plus with my current husband. Like we were just on the same page, like we understood
Sure.
each other. Because I feel like, there's a whole other set of, I don't want to say understanding, but like I guess set of rules, I guess, or
Right.
expectations. Like when you have kids, especially when they're adult kids, or at
Yes.
least in the same age range. So, anyways, there was like that commonality between the two of us. We have a lot more in common. But we had dated, went on a date. He was super intense. Did not date him. I would see him at the gym. 6 years we would run into each other, and then one day we ran into each other, and I was like, "Oh damn! Like you look different. You look
Yeah.
really good." Not that he always looked good, but there was just something about him. But it's
Let
okay.
me rethink this one.
Maybe
Maybe
I made
your
a
maybe
mistake
your
all
your
those years.
intensity is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, let's see where that goes.
Yeah.
So then it was like January before COVID, we
Okay.
started to date, and then COVID hit, like quarantined together and inseparable. It was interesting to during that time, and then like to be with somebody. And I left this out. I was actually moving back to Michigan.
Yes.
So I was like, this cannot be serious.
Of course, right?
And
You
so
find you find someone when you're when a big change is about to happen. Of
least
course.
expecting it, right?
Yeah, of
So
course.
I was like, is not going anywhere. Like, gonna have to be like casual dating. And that was in January, before
Yeah.
COVID. I'm like selling my house. I'm leaving my teaching job of like 15 years, giving up my pension, everything to move home. Because I always told my family, like, I would come back home because I was
Right.
in Jersey and was coming back to Michigan. And then COVID hit and it was March and we were together 24/7 and then we fell in love, of course.
Yeah.
And then June came and I was like, I already like put in my notice
Yeah.
for my job. I signed my
Gotta
lease. Like,
go.
how do I stay for somebody for 6 months? People are going to think I'm crazy.
Right.
Well, I mean, they already do, but like
Right.
he's more crazy. So he helped me pack up the truck. We moved, drove out there, got set up in Rochester, and then had a job. COVID was still going on. Him and I would fly back and forth. It was like $60 to fly because nobody was flying at the time.
Sure.
And, you know, asked me to marry him then and flip around, drive all the way back to Jersey.
My
And
goodness.
yeah, but we were just on the same page, I guess. And I also felt like at that point, like maybe there was a time in my life where I would have stayed and not did followed through on my plans and like gave up part of myself or like whatever I was going to, even though I did obviously
Yes.
come back, but I still followed through and I was like more true to myself and what I committed and said that, I'm going to try this and well, let's
Right.
see what happens. So I kind of put myself first, which was unusual because
Yeah.
was definitely more the type of person who would give. And then all of a sudden be like, hey, how come I'm not getting anything back?
That's
I really
exactly
believe.
exactly me. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I had lots of faults. So, I'm just as guilty in the failures, which I really feel like they are like failures.
Right.
My relationships, you know what I mean? It definitely is a two side. I was certainly not perfect. And it just, there's a lot of factors that go into it. But I think that the reason this marriage is the way it is because, I think in my old age, I've gained a little bit more confidence and
Mm-hmm.
self respect, but I certainly still struggle with a lot of issues, abandonment being the biggest one. Trust issues is a big one.
Yeah, I hate that I am 51 and I'm just now feeling confident, feeling like I am worth a great relationship. My pattern from my first marriage all the way up till I would say 2 years ago has been I am going to show you what a good relationship is. I'm going to show you what a good family looks like. I'm going to give to make you happy. And then when you look back, you realize what did those people do for me to ever check in to see if I was happy? Again, that's all of that is excluding my first husband because that's not the case with him.
Yeah.
But it's been every single relationship. I've talked about it before on my other social media. Therapy is huge for me, helping me realize a lot of things. And I think that's the biggest one is
Yeah.
that, my therapist said, you just like to save little, abandoned kittens. And I'm like, you're right.
I wonder if it's like a personality trait because we're teachers and
Yes.
like that very giving
Yes.
kind
That's
of
what she said too.
mhm,
Yes, is
taking
that
care
we are
of others.
caretakers. It's just that we've never, we've never put ourselves in the position to have it be reciprocated. But and with that note, I've been with people who just didn't know how to reciprocate, or it's not their way of loving. And
Yeah.
so, taking me this long to figure
Mhm.
out, I know exactly what I will not put up with anymore.
Yeah.
Huge realization, but also again, I feel sad for my younger self.
Yeah.
I deserved much better things than I got in return.
Yeah.
And, as I said to my kids one time, I said, if you think about it, I'm in therapy talking about things from my childhood. I said, in 20 years, okay, let's just figure this out now. What am I doing wrong so I can stop it?
I will constantly
So
apologize to my kids. Like, I'm so sorry for,
yes,
there's
yes.
things I did that I didn't even know I was doing or
Of
did. Like,
course. And it is. Once you have kids, then you start worrying about what yourself are you giving to them without realizing it,
yep.
which, could be a whole completely different episode.
No, we can go on. I'm gonna get wine for that episode.
Yeah, yeah, we'll do wine next time. We
Yeah, yeah,
definitely
yeah,
should have. We
yeah.
definitely talking about exes. We definitely should have. And
Oh,
oddly
no.
enough, John, my ex-husband was just here before I started this, and I'm like, listen, I gotta go. I've got to, I'm taping my first episode, and he said, well, what's it going to be about? And I told him, he goes, are you going to be talking about me? I'm like, well, I'm sure you're going to come up in
They're gonna
quite
come up.
a few episodes. And
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like, but I'm going to be truthful. That's
yeah.
for me, that's therapeutic is talking it because someone else is
Mhm.
going through it.
I know.
Absolutely.
Would like before I got on with you, I was so nervous about like who's gonna see this? What are they gonna
Yes.
say? What are they gonna think? Right? Again,
Right.
here comes all these like insecurities flooding in.
Yes.
And like,
Yes.
and then you also didn't want like I feel like I'm kind of like filtered in what I'm saying because I certainly don't want it to come across bad mouthing either, my second husband that like he was not a good husband. Is he a good
Right.
person? Yes. Was he a good husband? No.
Right. Right.
You know,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, and I think with mine, the first marriage, I honestly, I just chalk it up to just being too young.
yeah,
The person I was then is is definitely not the person I was, I am now.
yeah,
Um, I mean, even looking back, I was so insecure,
yeah.
yet I was in fabulous shape. That's back when I
I
was,
yeah,
yeah, back when I was doing all the weightlifting and stuff. And I mean, I couldn't have been in any better shape. But he was such a presence, you know what I mean? Like he walked into a room and he was noticed.
yeah,
So it was never, we walk in and anyone's looking at me. You know what I mean? It was always him. So youth and my insecurities and, just us not even knowing how to navigate the world
yeah.
as individuals, let
Right.
alone
He
being
was too
married.
young to be like,
It,
this is my wife. She needs to shine right
yeah.
now.
And so what I would have liked to have seen was him having that attention to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Looking back is I wanted that attention from him,
Yes. Yeah.
and
100%.
I honestly, I just talked to him the other day. And so I swear I did. And we were very good friends for a long time afterwards. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, we got along very well after. He's now remarried and things like that, lives in a different state. But I came across someone on online dating that he knows. And
Oh.
again, and I haven't talked to him, Wally, in, I mean, years,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
But I saw this guy, and the background of this picture of this guy that we know, it was so gross. Like the couch was all stained, and it
Ew.
was like he's in a suit, but his couch is all stained and there's stuff all over the floor. Profile name was ridiculous. So I'm like, I have to show this to Wally. So
Yeah.
I screenshotted it and sent it to him. I said, obviously, hey, how's it going? I know this out of the blue, but look who I just came across. And then we, chit-chatted for a little bit and caught up on families, and it seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah. Like a lifetime. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have that with my second. My first, obviously, the father of my children. We are very close. We were just at my son's graduation, and like,
Hmm.
he's amazing and a great dad. But my second husband, I really just I sometimes I don't even tell people that I was married to him.
Sure.
It was, yeah, not a good marriage. But I feel like I try to ignore that ever happened. And unfortunately, my kids were most affected by that divorce. They were too
Right.
young to remember their dad around, and we had such a good
Yes.
relationship. Like he would come over for Christmas, and
Yeah.
like when I was single and not. But my second marriage,
They
they were
recall that
really
one.
excited to have like a stepdad,
Hmm.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
and then when we got divorced, that hit them hard, and it hit me hard. Like he broke me for sure.
Yeah, I mean, with John, my ex-husband, I mean, we get along great. We have great co-parenting.
Mhm.
We talk a lot, and
Yeah,
we do things together. So
absolutely.
we sit at games together, and
Hmm.
that's not for everyone. There's going to be plenty of people who say, "Oh,
Sure.
I just can't do that," and it's like, okay, well, that's fine,
Right.
but
One.
we came to a place where do things because it's
Yeah.
what's best,
Yeah.
not
And when you look for your third
yes,
or your life partner, well, you
yeah,
don't have to get married.
yes, yes.
But when you look, like that was one of the things that, made me so happy with, my husband now, Jeff, like because he has an ex-wife, he has kids. We know that we're going to see our exes at weddings and birthday parties and
Right.
like love her as they were together forever. And
Yes.
as the mother of his children, like he'll always, like if she called and needed something, I would be like, go, you know what I
Right.
mean? So
Absolutely.
same type of thing. So because after my first marriage, people who I dated did not have kids. One was married and divorced, but no kids, and the other one was never married and no kids. And so, those people had a harder time kind of accepting.
So, what would you say is your biggest piece of advice, even just for me? For me, maybe possibly ever getting into another relationship. Maybe. Um,
You totally will.
or well, I guess
I,
first, were you after your second marriage, did you see yourself getting married again?
no. Oh my gosh. I should probably not say this, but I will. Like
Yeah.
all like my passwords to things were never again. Never. I swear to you, it was like never again, two
Yeah.
exclamation point. Like it was never again. So Jeff always teases me. No,
Yes.
I
Right.
again because I'm all over the place. My ADD kicks in. I'm like talking about things, but like first husband, 4 years. Second husband, 4.5, 5 years, and
Right.
then single, but had a long-term relationship. I had quite a few, flings
Yeah.
and whatnot here and there, but I had an on-off relationship. He was like 10 years younger, no kids. He was married though.
Yeah.
Um,
Or
it
something like
was
that, wasn't it?
long, yeah, but
Yeah.
it was on off. And
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
such a nice guy, such a nice guy, so easy. But that was the thing. Like if I had kid things, he was like, oh, okay. Like he was almost too accommodating. Like he almost didn't care enough. That's the way I perceived it, which
Right.
may or may not be the case. Quite a few years on off. I never thought I was going to get married again. I just thought that that was it. Like I was just going to kind of be single forever.
Right.
Yeah, I really honestly did not. And even when we started dating Jeff, because I was moving, like I didn't think I was going
Yeah.
to be getting married to him either. We got married so quick and never been so easy or so right. Like I
That's
feel
good.
like he is like my daughter will say he's you in male form.
Right.
We are like a perfect match. Like
Sure.
crazy and my crazy just
Go
mesh.
together. Right.
You know?
I think that's where I'm at. Like right now, I don't foresee myself getting married again. I'm also not, I'm also realistic. Like if I found someone who checked all the boxes that I've
Mhm.
never had before,
Yeah,
and pretty big difference for me to do that. But then also I think it's going to have to be after the kids are out of the house,
yeah. I feel like
because
that's
yeah, because right now at this time, let's just say I was dating someone and everything was great and I was, madly in love, and but they had a couple kids. Well, at this age, my kids' ages are 16 and 13, to all of a sudden have to have them, okay, well, no longer can they, you know, run from their room to the bathroom in their underwear, or just lay
right.
around, and as if, they'll have
Yep.
to think about every move that they make because
Yes.
they have to now worry about other people.
Yes.
And I don't want that for them. I
Yeah.
just don't. I mean,
Yeah.
I know people blend houses all the time,
Yep.
but I feel like because I've been single for 8 years
Yeah.
and they're so close to being out of the house, that I would wait to blend houses if
Yeah.
that situation came about.
You might be surprised though too, because like as much as we like try to plan like our
Right.
life,
Oh,
I
good,
would never
good
would have
point.
thought,
Good point. No,
never would have thought this would happen to me. But like
you're right.
you
No,
might
you're right.
find
I know you're right. I know
you
you're
might
right.
find a perfect match where all of those things are not as significant as they seem because
Right.
it's the right person in the right
Right.
situation. And whether they have kids or you never know.
Right.
And pretty soon your kids are like they're not going to be doing those things because of their age.
Yeah, I mean, and I could meet someone who does have older kids,
Hmm.
and then that could be different. That would be a different
Yeah,
situation too, because then it would
yeah,
just be one other person. But
right.
I don't know, making them share, because let's just take my situationship that I was in. The
So,
thought, the thought of living with his son, there's no way. That would have never worked out anyway,
yeah,
because that piece would have
right.
never happened.
Exactly. Exactly. Not the
Because
right person, but that's why it didn't work. Like
no, I mean, just absolutely not. I mean, there were no rules there. There's rules here. And so, you know what I mean?
it has
Mm,
to match. It has to be a perfect fit. But yeah, I think that that's like the biggest thing though, is like as we try to like, my mother used to tell me, right? I'm like to the age where you now quote your parents like that.
right, exactly.
What commercial is that? What insurance commercial? A commercial I'm talking about? The old guy, he's always like trying to coach them on not becoming their parents.
Do you still own that car?
I do not.
Okay.
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home and auto with us.
Empty tubs of butter are for recycling, not for my leftovers.
That's a big one, people.
But my
Yes.
mom used to say, Deanna Marie,
Yep.
99.9% of the things you worry about won't happen because your imagination is much more creative than reality. So
Uh,
we create these like
Wise
scenarios,
woman, Pam. Wise woman.
right? So wise, so wise.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you think like I would have never have I would have reconnected with Jeff. That COVID would have happened, right? That was a
Yes.
shit show. And then moved to Michigan, moved back to New Jersey. We closed on a house in Delaware and
Yeah.
then moved down here. Like who would have thought like
Yeah.
that this would have been my life? Never in a million years. Could I
Right.
have reality's more creative than my imagination in that case? But you
Isn't,
know,
yeah, I've said that so many times, is I would have never have imagined this to be my life.
Yeah.
Can't plan what's going to happen. God knows I never thought I'd be right here doing my first podcast with you.
Woohoo! I love it. I love it. Number one fan right here.
You are my biggest cheerleader, and it's so appreciated. I wouldn't even be here without all the help you've given me.
Oh,
So
stop. Stop, stop,
you
stop.
know it's true. I mean, and my like I'll come up with an idea and I just hurry up and text you and I'm like, oh my God, but then here's this, and oh my gosh, then here's this.
I love it. I love it.
But just know that I am aware of my anxiety ridden, like sending you
Yeah.
one after another, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, Jeff is probably thinking, is she gonna leave you alone? But I get on these thoughts and then
And
I
you
just have to get
it's
them
like
out there.
having a chewing on a piece of tough meat, right? Yeah,
It
just like
really
spit it out.
is. And this
Otherwise,
has been trying, but here we are.
so
We are
happy.
we are gonna have to do this again for sure.
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
sure there's many things we could talk about.
Is that allowed?
Next time we're going to bring some wine. Husbands was just a great topic to start with since
Husband
actually you're
with an
the
S?
only one that I know that has more than one like
Oh
me.
my God, don't say it.
Well, I mean, within my circle.
I'm the biggest failure,
I'm right there with you. Hey, no. You're one up on me because you are now happily remarried.
I know. No wonder she has 3 husbands.
Same thing, same thing. People are like, well, no wonder why she's single. She couldn't stay married to 2. And, but you know what? I mean, I'll go off on a tangent on this too, is there have for sure been times where I haven't admitted it because I felt bad.
Yeah,
Like that's going to make me look like a bad person.
100%. They're like, "What's wrong with you?"
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
So,
I wasn't the one who propositioned somebody on Craigslist, so
ooh.
I didn't do that. I would
No,
never
I
do
know.
that.
I was gonna say now,
I
well,
would
that's gonna have
never
to
do
be.
that 6
Yes.
months after you get married.
Oh, oh, girl.
Did you do that? I wouldn't do that.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Well, that's definitely a wine story.
But I did say yes, and I
Oh,
should have not.
oh
Yeah.
my
So
God.
listen to your gut, that little voice. That would be some good advice to give somebody.
Oh yeah, I did ask that, didn't I?
Yeah.
What advice would you give? I did say that, didn't I?
Like, I think you asked, like, were there red flags and like what advice? Like, I would be
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
listen
What
to those
advice
red
would you give
flags.
someone like me who,
Hopeful. There's so many
Yeah.
fabulous people out there, right? I
Yes.
think that just like trust your gut. There's a
The
like
most,
I knew that there was red flags and I didn't listen.
yes.
You'll be okay if you don't find somebody because I feel like sometimes that fear of like, oh my gosh, if I don't, then I am going to be alone, so I might as well
Yes.
settle. Like that low self-esteem that would be me. Like nobody else is going to want me. Like
Yep.
I might as well jump.
Yes. That definitely is a topic for another day because I could talk forever on that one.
Yeah, right.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh,
I
thanks
so
for having me.
appreciate you. And yeah, next time let's bring the wine and
Yes,
we'll
that's a
talk and
must.
laugh some more.
I love it.
Thank you for joining me. As always, do better, expect better, and be better. And remember to laugh through it all. Don't forget to check out my Shopify page where you can pick up some do better, expect better, be better, and some laugh through it all merchandise. Link is in the description.